What are some likely top options for Victory Track and Gladiator Circuit in this upcoming Battlegrounds starting on Wednesday? So with some improvements to the, I'd say, experience with Battlegrounds, not completely, there's still a lot more to come. There are going to be some more activity, I think, from players this particular season, hopefully many more to come. So for Victory Track, if you are looking to progress up there, using Mystic Attackers is going to be a good thing. However, there will be the, let's say, frustrating defenders that will likely be put in place. Because, yes, the name of the game is to use a Mystic Champion to nullify buff creation. Which, as you know, as defenders, they will, for every buff that's been generated, receive a power charge. Upon reaching 8 charges, they gain a power efficiency passive. And during this time, all buffs in defender cannot be nullified or staggered. So if you do have champions that are, first of all, power steal immune, we'll come to that in a second, but also nullify immune and buff immune, then effectively these options right here are going to be some really cool ones to get into the team as a defender. Also champions here, like they steal 30% of the defender's max power, providing whenever a Mystic Attacker activates a striker, it's not always going to be every single defender that a champion... Like, I'm not going to field like champions that are going to play into what you need as an attacker. If Mystic Attackers are needed, then guess what? Don't put Mystic Attackers. No, don't kind of like... Well, don't put Mystic Attackers. Don't put defenders in that are going to be anti-Mystic Attackers. So like, oh, you're going to use a Mystic Attacker against me, well, I'm going to field a Science Champion then in defense, or a Nullify Immune Champion, or a Power Steal Immune Champion, because I don't want you stealing my power. And some of those Power Steal Immune options can be found here: Hulkling, Sauron, Photon, Count Nefaria, Terex, Annihilus, Vision, Arcus, and Iron Man Infinity War. So it depends what the narrative is to your attack and defense. But I'll tell you what, from a defense standpoint, I'm going to play about with these. I also think that frustrating defenders as normal, some of the ones that are on screen right now, will just still be used again. Like, I don't think this is going to be too much of a bugbear for players. From an attacking sense, just use Mystic Attackers. Anything you got that's powerful. Isophene, any nullification based champion, Doctor Doom, Juggernaut, White Tiger, Wiccan, America Chavez. If you can't stagger or fate seal, then look to champions that are going to be punishing the creation of buffs, and these champions will indeed do that on a Victory Track level. Similar to Victory Track, Gladiator Circuit weeks 1 to 2 are kind of like Victory Tracks. Well, just in general. Yes, the same thing. Mystic Attacker used. Same thing again. While Mystic Strike is active, the defender cannot gain power from being struck. Okay. But then you've got when the defender reaches 1 bar of power, the defender gains a power gain. It's the same. Until you get to Feat of Indestructibility. Indestructible. When the attacker reaches 2 bars of power, the defender gets an indestructible buff. So don't go to an SP2, just throw an SP1 most, if not all the time, and the same thing really remains. It's the same. It may make it easier just to throw SP1s rather than going the normal route. Therefore, you wouldn't allow the building of the SP2. Will people use Nullify champions in general? Maybe. If it's seeming like they are creating a deck that is built off of that kind of mystic narrative of suppressing buffs, punishing buffs, then guess what? Use champions that are going to be that power control immune champion, power steal immune, nullify immune, buff immune. Just adapt. I think that's the one thing that I've kind of looked at this new kind of meta coming in, for, especially for Gladiator Circuit for week 1, is adapt. They put this, you put that. Have plenty of counters in your deck from an attacking sense, but also from a defender sense as well. Play into the nodes, but I guess are we reading too much into this? Again, like it's tough to say, but there's always going to be these frustrating defenders, and of course there's going to be some nukers that are just going to be very helpful as normal. Your Silks, your Juggernauts, your America Chavezes, your Storms, your onslaughts, your serpents, your hulks, your screams, your whatevers, you know, from defense to attack purposes. Always adapt, but use some of the better ones in the game. Oh, I needed to 10. From a weeks 3 to 4 perspective for Gladiator Circuit, there again are some interesting options associated with when the defender gains a buff, they also gain a 10% energized buff for 12 seconds. From a defense standpoint, I would just be putting nullify immune based champions into this. If I was looking to counter the counter, then it would be buff punishing champions like America Chavez, Kashala, and Spider-Man Supreme, rather than nullify, because if nullify immune, again, like try to punish them as much as possible with champions that aren't quintessentially what you look to for suppression, if I got that right. Anyway, the difference with this is there's a stun shield. So the stun shield side of things is that it's like a reflective shield. So you can't stun them, and also you're inflicted back with a stun debuff for 3 seconds. And if you throw a bleed or a shock, you remove the shield on its countdown for 8 seconds. So you are effectively trying to get down that shield as an attacker. Your defender choice is always going to be keeping the shield up. There is as well, the defender is armor break and nullify immune, which makes sense, just comes as standard, but by knocking down the defender, you disable the immunity for 15 seconds. You're not going to want to parry. You're just not going to want to parry at all. Parry heavy, don't do it. Time your heavies, maybe that'll work. Throw an SP1 instead, intercept most of the time is probably the play. Or indeed, to get that Fury passive, but also how you rotate. But there are some tricky options. There's some very tricky options that you could kind of go like, okay, well, what if I go bleed and shock immune? There's some options right there. What if I go nullify immune? There's some options right there. What if I go armor break immune? Well, there's some options right there. Like knocking down. There's also some interesting kind of tie-ins with things like, hey, Thing is nullify and bleed and shock immune. Right? That's helpful enough. A purify based champion or kind of shrug off based champion in King Group. Nullify immune, shock immune, Doctor Doom. You got Wiccan, you got Absorbing Man. Mangog falls into 2 camps as well. Shock and bleed immune. Right, there's plenty of shock and bleed immune options, which are there where the arrow is. So there are frustrating things you can put in your deck that are going to be applicable to this. You just have to go, okay, well, if they're going to throw that, if they're going to stun, right? Okay, what if they just do that and be quite ballsy? Well, you have options to, as an attacking side of things, to go, well, I'll use these attacking options against them as a defender, even if they might or may not have armor break immunity, bleed, or shock immunity. Okay, well, stun immunity. There's some rough stun immunity kind of champions like Serpent, Kindred, and there's one other one which I forgot, I think, to mention on here. Anyway, oh yeah, it's Rintra. You've got Kingpin for purification of debuffs. You've got Bullseye, Moleman, Hitmonkey, Chilf, Elsa Bloodstone, and Nick Fury, Baron Zemo. There's loads out there. If you're looking to go through a bleed and shocks to get the shield off, so you can then parry with ease, or maybe you won't just parry. Maybe you're like intercepting like a boss. But if not, then you've got all of these options right here that are bleed and shock based champions. I've just had a little kind of like platter of them, but there are a lot more to this. Again, it depends on your setup and team and adapting. That's one of the big things, is to adapt. Like my notes on this are to that particular case, that you just got to adapt. You got to look at what you may or may not like about that week 3 to 4 meta. Is intercepting going to be the key for you? Is it going to be stun immune based options? Is it going to be putting powerful defenders, or defenders that are just meta, but also champions that have this kind of nullification, bleed and shock immunity, armor break immunity, things that are going to counter the counters or be frustrating options that don't have a very fine line of countering. But also one of the biggest things is slowing down your opponent. Because if you slow down your opponent, that also is to your benefit as well. They may be able to do it, but what if they did it in a slow amount of time? You obviously scoop the benefits of the slow performance because you won. We'll have to see. Anyway, that's been it for the video. The spreadsheet is in the link in the description, and thanks for watching, and peace. Cheers for now.